So that's the first principle we need to really grasp. But now we need to ask the question, why? Well, we need to understand how we as humans function and how, every day, every second, how do we function in life? From the moment that you wake up, your brain, your conscious and your subconscious brain, is exposed to external information. This external information is the world, life, let's call it the reality. This big floating pot of onion soup that's happening around us with peas in it. This vast thing we call life, right, is constantly happening around us. And our brains is absorbing information from this experience. Now, here's my question. Does my brain absorb all the information? No, it cannot. So the smart guys have sat down and they've tried to measure and calculate how much information is my brain exposed to. And they've come up with a variety of numbers. It's always interesting when the scientists come up with these numbers. You've got one group that says about 2 million bits, another one says that's 20 million bits, another one says that's 200 million bits. There's a variety in these numbers. I personally think the one that's fairly accurate, that's sort of in the middle, is roughly about between 20 to 40 million bits of data. Bits of data is how we measure data. Your computer has bits. It's made up of bits and megabits and everything else. So bits of information are small packets of information. So around you floating in this big soup called life, there's roughly about 20 to 40 million bits of information all around you. How does the brain absorb some of this? We use our senses. We've got 5 senses, and we're going to use the acronym on the course, VACOG, when we refer to the 5 senses. And the VACOG stands for visual, is what you can see. So look around the room you're sitting in. How many colors can you see? How many patterns can you see? How many shades can you see? How many shapes can you see? The eyes, the visual sense, is extremely busy in the gathering of information builders. So the second sense we use is the auditory sense. So firstly is visuals, what I can see. The acronym I said is VACOG. So the V stands for visual, the A stands for auditory. That's what I can hear. What are you hearing at the moment? Yes, you're hearing my voice, but there might be some noises in the background. There might be a TV on somewhere. Someone might be talking. There might be people moving, maybe in a quiet environment. If you go into a shopping center, how many noises are there? Oh, the lots. The ears are busy. If you take a gentle walk in nature, in beautiful, peaceful nature in the veld, how many sounds are there? Lots. Are there any scuba divers here? I'm a big scuba diving fan. Go down 30 meters under the surface of the ocean. Do you know how many sounds there are? Lots. The world we live in is a very auditory sensory world. There's a lot of sounds, and we're aware of them. All right. Second sense is auditory. Third sense, VACOG, V-A-K, kinesthetic. The K stands for kinesthetic, is what I can feel and what I can touch. The kinesthetic sense is what you can feel, your touch sense. You can feel temperature on your skin at the moment. If you're in Joburg, it's chilly. And if you're somewhere else in the country, it could be warm. You might have a heater on in the room, whatever temperature you're feeling on your skin. But you're also feeling a lot of other things. You're feeling a chair under your bum. You're feeling the clothing on your body. You're feeling the shoes on your feet. You're feeling what's in your hand. If you've got a pen in your hand, are your arms resting on a desk? If you're wearing glasses, you're feeling that on your head. If you're wearing jewelry, you're feeling that. I'm going to go back to Nicola. He's feeling that beard. You can't not, we feel a lot of things. Our kinesthetic sense is constantly busy. If you walk, your one foot feels the soil, the next one feels the soil. Every time we touch something, every time we move, even whilst we're sitting still, our kinesthetic sense is exposed to the world and it's absorbing information. Cool? Fourth sense. So we've got VACOG, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Olfactory, my smell sense. What are you smelling at the moment? Have you ever walked through the food area where all the coffee shops and the takeaway? How many smells are there? It's crazy. I remember going into I think it's Edgar's not too long ago. I wanted to go buy some buns. and I went in with the wife, and we went into the women's section. Have you noticed if you go from the women's section to the men's section to the kids section, the smell changes? Isn't that weird? Our smell sense is very, very, very busy. It's absorbing information, raw data all of the time. And the last sense that you have is your gustatory sense. That's your taste and your gustatory system. So our saliva, our mouth, our taste, our palate is also gathering information the whole time. It's constantly changing. There's variance in it. So I've got 5 senses that's exposed to 20 to 40 million bits, little packets of raw data floating in the soup called life around me. And my senses is collecting this raw data constantly. Now, here's the key. Here's one of the biggest keys you need to grasp. Your conscious mind. How much of this 20 to 40 million bits of data can your conscious mind cope with? On a good day, your conscious brain can cope with 9 bits. Not 9%, not 9,000, not 900, just 9. On a bad day, about half, about 5. That's it. That's what the conscious brain can cope with. That part of the brain, which we value so much, is actually really stupid. It can only handle roughly 7 plus minus 2 bits of data per second. That's all it can deal with. No, Dion, I can multitask. I can do many things. No, you can't. You think you can, but you can't. Multitasking is one of the biggest lies. We don't multitask. Some people are just really good at jumping from one task to another. You're not thinking about 2 things at the same time or doing 2 things at the same time. Your conscious brain can't cope. I've got 2 pens up here. Can you read the name on that one? Wait, I'm holding it wrong. You should be able to read the name on there. All right, there we go. Can you read that name? All right, I've got another one. It's also got a name on it. A slightly different name. I must turn this in. All right, you can read both the names at the same time. No, you can't. You see, what your eyes had to do, your eyes had to jump from the one to the other, because the volume of data to read both at the same time is too much. You can see both in your peripheral view, but when you want to focus your conscious brain, you cannot. Your conscious brain is limited to 7 plus minus 2. 7 minus 2 is 5, 7 plus 2 is 9. Between 9 and 5 bits, it's all it can deal with. What would happen if it dealt with all of the raw data? What would happen if your conscious brain had to consciously think and analyze and think about 20 to 40 million bits of data, everything that's happening? In other words, everything your eye sees, everything you hear, everything you smell, everything you taste, everything you feel, all the senses, the full BACOG, fully active, and there's conscious awareness about everything. What will happen to your brain? Quite simply, you would be bonkers. Your brain would explode. It would be an absolute total overload of information. So what does your brain need to do? The first rule of your brain is it needs to survive. Self-preservation is instinctive for us humans. Your brain wants to survive. It needs to reduce the volume of data to a usable volume that it can perceive, that it can comprehend. So in other words, it needs to filter. It needs to take 20 to 40 million and bring it down to between 5 and 9 bits. And that's the bits, the information that goes into the conscious. And it does 3 things to achieve this. Now you need to understand, this is a natural functionality of the brain. If your brain did not do this, you would be insane. Every human on this planet does this. If no human is smart enough not to do it. There are some people that can handle, instead of 7 plus minus 2, they can deal with 9 plus minus 2 bits. There's a few of them. The bulk of our generation at the moment, the 7 plus minus 2 is actually subtly and slowly reducing. Things like instant gratification is actually numbing the neural function in the brain, and we're actually starting to absorb less information. There are some people that are claiming we are down to 5 ±2 at the moment. What is important to know is, what are those 3 things? How does it happen? Why is it relevant? And can I change it?
Visit actionfactory.co.za to find out more. Change your mind. Change your life.